My child, I saw you standing by the door, the frantic rhythm of your heart echoing against the silent walls of your home as you searched for those keys. I watched the mounting frustration cloud your eyes, the way you threw your bag onto the sofa, and the heavy sigh that escaped your lips as you muttered about your own forgetfulness. You felt small in that moment, didn't you? You felt as though the world was conspiring against you, adding one more delay to a life already burdened by the weight of too many deadlines and too little rest. But lean your head against my shoulder now, and let me tell you the truth of that moment. I was the one who hid them. I was the one who drew a veil over your memory as you placed them on the counter, and it was my hand that moved them just an inch out of your sight. You saw it as a failure, a sign of your exhaustion, but I saw it as your rescue. Had you found those keys when you wanted them, had you walked out of that door 30 seconds earlier, you would have reached the intersection of the main highway at the exact moment a driver, blinded by the sun and lost in his own distraction, veered across the center line. I held your keys in the palm of my hand to keep you from a collision that would have changed your life forever in ways you are not yet ready to endure. I chose your frustration over your tragedy. I chose your momentary anger over a lifetime of regret. This is how I love you, my precious one, not always by giving you the path you desire, but by blocking the path that would destroy you. I know that lately, it feels as though your life is a series of missing keys and closed doors. You wake up with a knot of anxiety in your chest, thinking about the numbers in your bank account, and the bills that seem to grow like shadows at dusk. You wonder if I have forgotten the promises I whispered to your heart in the seasons of your youth. You feel the cold sting of loneliness when the house grows quiet, wondering if there is anyone who truly sees the depth of the sacrifice you make every single day. I want you to look at me now. I see every tear. I see the way you hold yourself together for everyone else while you feel like you are shattering inside. I am the God of the breakthrough, and I am the architect of your provision. The financial desert you are walking through is not your final destination. It is the place where I am teaching you that your true source is not a system of man, but the abundance of my kingdom. Just as I held those keys to protect your physical body, I am managing the timing of your blessings to protect your spirit. If I gave you the harvest before you knew how to tend the soil, the weight of the blessing would crush you. But listen closely. The season of not yet is turning into the season of suddenly. I am moving in the unseen realms on your behalf. There are contracts being signed, hearts being softened, and opportunities being birthed that you cannot yet see. Your loneliness is not a vacuum. It is a sacred space I have set apart so that I can fill it with my presence until you realize that you are never, ever alone. I am the Father who stays. I am the friend who understands the words you cannot speak. You worry about tomorrow, but I am already standing in your tomorrow, preparing the way, smoothing the rough edges of the path, and ensuring that every need is met according to my riches. Do not let your heart be troubled by the delays. In my kingdom, a delay is never a denial. It is a divine appointment with my perfect timing. You are the apple of my eye, the masterpiece of my creation, and I have engraved your name upon my palms. When you feel the weight of the world, remember the keys. Remember that I am involved in the smallest details of your day. I am in the traffic jam that keeps you safe. I am in the phone call that gets dropped, and I am in the quiet moments of your solitude. I am weaving a tapestry of grace out of the threads of your daily struggles. Trust me with the things you cannot control. The financial miracle you are seeking is already on its way. It is traveling through the channels I have orchestrated, and it will arrive at the precise moment it will do the most good for your soul. Stop trying to carry the burden of the universe on your shoulders. I am the one who sustains the stars, and I am the one who sustains you. Rest your weary mind. Breathe in my peace, for it is a peace that surpasses all human understanding. You are protected, you are provided for, and you are loved with an everlasting love that knows no limits. The keys were not lost, they were found in my grace. And soon, I will give you the keys to new doors, doors of favor, doors of healing, and doors of joy that no man can shut. Walk with me today in the confidence that I am your shield and your great reward. Every struggle you face today is under my authority, and I am turning every one of them into a testimony of my faithfulness. Receive my love now. Let it wash over you like a warm rain. And know that I am with you always, even until the end of the age. Look back at that frantic morning, the one where the air felt thick with your frustration, and the seconds on the wall clock seemed to mock your every move. You were pacing the hallway, your coat halfway on, your mind already miles ahead at the meeting you could not afford to miss. You checked the porcelain bowl by the door, the pockets of your jeans from the night before, and even the cushions of the sofa you rarely sit upon. In those moments of frantic searching, you felt as though the world was conspiring against you. You felt forgotten, perhaps even punished. But I was there, sitting in the stillness of the kitchen, watching your heart rate climb and knowing that my hand was firmly pressed against the very keys you sought. I heard the whispered pleas, the sighs of exasperation, and the silent question, "Why today of all days?" My child, if you could have seen what I saw from my vantage point above the timeline of your life, your frustration would have instantly dissolved into a song of thanksgiving. At the very moment you were shaking the rug in the hallway, a heavy-laden truck 3 miles away was losing its braking power at the intersection of Maple and Vine. Had you found those keys when you wanted them, you would have been precisely at that corner, waiting for the light to change, unaware that steel and glass were hurtling toward your path. I held those keys in the palm of my hand, hiding them in plain sight beneath the mail you had set aside, not to delay your success, but to preserve your life. I am the God of the narrow escapes you never even realized you had. I am the silence between the heartbeats of disaster. Think of the other delays you have endured lately. The internet connection that failed right as you were about to send an email that was written in haste and anger. The friend who called and kept you on the line just long enough to miss a storm. The restless night that kept you home when you would have otherwise been in harm's way. These are not inconveniences. They are the kisses of my providence. Even now, as you worry about the lost time, I am stretching the hours of your afternoon to compensate for what you believe you have missed. I am working in the heart of your employer, softening their gaze and aligning their spirit with mine, so that your delay becomes a footnote rather than a failure. And that financial miracle I spoke of, notice the small promptings I have placed in your spirit. Remember the old ledger you found while looking for those keys. It was not a coincidence that your eyes fell upon that forgotten account or that specific name from your past. I am using the search for the physical to lead you to the spiritual and the practical. I am stirring the waters of your life, and though the surface looks turbulent, the depths are being cleared of the debris that has hindered your progress for years. You often ask me for a sign, for a burning bush or a voice from the heavens, yet I speak most clearly in the disappearance of a key and the stalling of an engine. I speak in the quiet no that eventually leads to a life-changing yes. I see the way you have been grieving the doors that have closed, the opportunities that seem to slip through your fingers like sand. Do not weep for what was lost in the shadows, for I am the light that reveals the true worth of every path. Those doors were closed because the rooms behind them were too small for the person you are becoming. You are being prepared for an expanse you cannot yet fathom. The weight you feel in your chest, that lingering anxiety about the future, I want you to hand it to me now. Imagine placing it into my hands, just as you finally placed those keys into your pocket once the danger had passed. I am not a distant architect who designed the world and walked away. I am the gardener who tends to every leaf and every root of your being. I know the dreams you have whispered into your pillow at 3 in the morning, the ones you are too afraid to tell anyone else, because they seem too grand or too impossible. None of them are impossible for me. I am the one who creates something out of nothing, who brings rivers to the desert and life to the dry bones. Your life is a masterpiece in progress, and every smudge, every correction, and every delay is an intentional stroke of my brush. Feel the warmth of my presence now, as real as the breath in your lungs. I am tending to the broken pieces of your heart that you have tried to glue back together on your own. Let me heal them. Let me fill the cracks with the gold of my grace, making you stronger and more beautiful in the broken places than you were before the trial began. We are walking toward a season of harvest, but first the soil must be turned. The turning of the soil feels like an upheaval, it feels like loss, but it is the only way for the seed of your destiny to take root. Be patient with the process. Be patient with yourself. I am never in a hurry, yet I am never late. The rhythm of my grace is steady, and it is beating in sync with your heart. When you find yourself searching for answers today, remember the keys. Remember that my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. I am guarding you with a jealousy that is fierce and a tenderness that is absolute. There is nothing you could do to make me love you more, and nothing you have done that could make me love you less. You are my beloved, and in you I am well pleased. Stay close to me in the coming hours. Listen for my whisper in the wind and see my smile in the kindness of a stranger. I am unfolding a plan that will not only sustain you, but will cause you to overflow with a joy that others will find contagious. The doors are beginning to turn on their hinges. Can you hear the sound? It is the sound of my faithfulness breaking through the noise of your fears. Trust the delay. Trust the silence. Trust me. I have seen the bills stacked on your desk and the numbers that do not seem to add up in your favor, but I am the God of the loaves and the fishes. I can multiply the little you have into a bounty that leaves you in awe. Do not look at the bank statement as your source. Look at me. I am the source that never runs dry. I am already moving the hearts of those who have the power to help you, and I am opening lines of communication that were previously blocked. The breakthrough is not just coming. It has already begun in the spiritual realm, and soon your physical eyes will witness it. You have been faithful in the small things, and now I am calling you to be confident in the great things. Take a deep breath. Let the tension leave your neck and shoulders. I am in control of the timing, the outcome, and the journey itself. You are never walking alone, even when the path is shrouded in mist. I am the lamp unto your feet, and I only give you enough light for the next step so that you will continue to hold my hand. I saw you this morning, standing by the door, your heart racing as you patted your pockets for the third time. I saw the frantic energy in your movements, the way you tossed the magazines on the coffee table and checked the pockets of the coat you hadn't worn in weeks. You felt the weight of the world on your shoulders, believing that being 5 minutes late would be the final thread that snapped in the tapestry of your life. But I was there, silent and steady, watching the clock tick forward while your keys sat tucked away where you could not see them. You grew angry, didn't you? You whispered a prayer that sounded more like a protest, asking why even the small things had to be so difficult. You felt as though I had turned my face away, leaving you to stumble through a morning of chaos. But let me pull back the veil for just a moment. If those keys had been in your hand when you wanted them, you would have pulled out of your driveway at exactly 8:02 a.m. You would have reached the intersection by the park just as a truck, driven by a man whose eyes were heavy with sleep, drifted across the yellow line. I chose your frustration over your fracture. I chose your delay over your destruction. Every minute you spent searching was a minute I was standing in the gap, shielding you from a collision you never saw coming. You were worried about your reputation at the office, but I was worried about the breath in your lungs. Do you see now? My love is not always a green light. Sometimes it is a barricade. Sometimes my greatest yes to your future is a no to your current schedule. This is how I work in the large things too. You have been knocking on doors that remain stubbornly shut, and you have been weeping because you feel forgotten. You look at those bills on the table, the ones from the hospital, the ones from the utility company, and you wonder if I have misplaced the keys to your provision. I have not. I am timing the opening of those doors with the same precision I used this morning. If I opened them too early, you would not be ready for the weight of the blessing. If I opened them too late, you would lose heart. But my timing is a perfect rhythm, a celestial heartbeat that never skips. Think of the silence you have been experiencing lately. It feels like a void, doesn't it? It feels like the absence of my voice. But in the realm of the spirit, silence is often the sound of deep construction. I am building a foundation in you that can support the height of the influence I am about to give you. I am strengthening your roots so that when the winds of prosperity blow, they do not topple you. I am teaching you to find your peace in me, not in the balance of your bank account. I know the specific fear that keeps you awake at 3:00 a.m. The fear that you will be found wanting, that you will eventually run out of options. But I am the creator of options. I am the one who makes a way where there is no way. I am currently speaking to the person who will offer you that contract. I am moving in the heart of the one who has the power to sign the paperwork that will clear your debt. You do not see the emails being drafted or the conversations happening in offices you have never entered, but I am there. I am the invisible mediator. I am the silent advocate. Even now, as you read these words, I am lifting the heavy fog of depression that has tried to settle over your mind. I am replacing the spirit of heaviness with a garment of praise. I want you to go back to that kitchen table where the keys were eventually found. Remember the relief you felt. Let that relief be a prophetic sign for the rest of your life. Just as the keys appeared when the danger had passed, your breakthrough will appear at the exact moment it is safe for you to move forward. You are not behind schedule. You are not failing. You are being perfectly calibrated for a destiny that requires a different kind of strength. I am teaching you to lean on me with your whole weight. Do not try to hold yourself up. I am the one who carries you. I am the one who knows the end from the beginning, and I promise you, the end is full of light. There is a specific miracle attached to your name, and it is not a generic blessing meant for the masses. It is a tailor-made response to the cries of your heart. I have counted every tear you dropped into your coffee this morning. I have heard every sigh you exhaled when you thought no one was listening. I am so intimately acquainted with your ways that I know the thoughts you haven't even formed into words yet. Trust the lost things. Trust the broken things. Trust the slow things. They are all instruments in my hands. I am composing a masterpiece out of the fragments of your struggle. When you look back on this season, you will not see a series of unfortunate events. You will see a trail of divine interventions. You will see the shadows where I hid you and the high places where I carried you. Stay in this place of surrender. Do not let the world's hurry rob you of my peace. The world says you must strive, but I say you must abide. The world says you are late, but I say you are right on time. My time. I am the God of the 11th hour, but I am also the God of the eternal now. Rest your head on the pillow of my promises tonight. You don't have to figure it all out before you sleep. I am staying up, I never slumber, I am working while you rest. I am arranging the pieces while you dream. You are my beloved, and my favor is the atmosphere you breathe. Breathe it in deeply. Let it fill your lungs and quiet your racing heart. We are walking together, and the path ahead is beautiful. Remember the old photograph you found yesterday, the one where you were a child laughing in the grass. I was there then, and I am here now. I haven't changed, even though the world around you has grown loud and complicated. I am still the God of the small wonders. I am in the way the light hits the floor in the afternoon. I am in the unexpected phone call from a friend you haven't spoken to in years. I am woven into the very fabric of your existence. So, when you reach for the door handle tomorrow, do so with a smile, knowing that whether the door opens or stays shut, it is by my design. You are safe. You are provided for. You are deeply, eternally loved. Let that be the key that truly unlocks your heart. Think of the morning you stood by the kitchen counter, your fingers trembling as you sifted through the mail and the loose change, searching for the silver ring that held your world together. I watched the heat rise in your cheeks, the way your breath became shallow and jagged like a bird trapped in a cage. You were looking for your keys, those small pieces of cut metal that represent your autonomy, your ability to move, your power to leave. To you, they were missing. To me, they were precisely where I needed them to be. I watched you drop your bag, heard the heavy thud of your frustration against the wooden floor, and I felt the sting of the words you whispered into the silence of the hallway. You felt abandoned by the timing of the universe, hindered by a domestic ghost that seemed to hide what you needed most. You saw the clock ticking toward 9, saw the red numbers on the microwave glaring at you like a judge, and you felt the weight of every expectation you have ever tried to carry. But what you could not see was the intersection 3 miles away. You could not see the heavy mist that had settled over the asphalt of Miller's Road, or the way the truck driver, exhausted and bleary-eyed from a cross-country haul, was closing his eyes for just 3 seconds too long. You were frantic because you were 4 minutes late, but I was holding your keys because I wanted you to have 40 more years. I heard your heart pounding against your ribs, a rhythmic drum of anxiety, and I placed my hand over it, though you only felt it as a sudden, inexplicable need to sit down on the bottom step and cry. In that moment of defeat, when you finally stopped clawing at the couch cushions and simply let out a long, shuddering breath, you were exactly where I wanted you. You were still. You were safe. You were protected by a frustration you thought was a curse. My love often looks like a closed door, and my mercy often feels like a delay. You look at the lost things and see a deficit, but I look at the lost things and see the hedge of protection I have built around your fragile, precious life. Do you remember the smell of the rain on the pavement that morning? While you sat on that step, defeated by a missing object, the world outside was churning with dangers you were never meant to face. I intercepted your haste. I interrupted your agenda because your agenda was leading you toward a shadow you weren't ready to walk through. This is the intimacy of my watchfulness. I'm not just the god of the grand cathedrals. I am the god of the junk drawer and the lost keychain. I am in the details of your Tuesday morning just as much as I am in the turning of the stars. I see the blue ceramic bowl where you usually drop those keys, and I saw the way you missed it by an inch, the keys sliding behind the radiator, hidden in the dark. I let them stay there. I let the metal stay cool and silent while you burned with the fire of needing to go. Because I love you more than I love your productivity. I value your presence more than I value your punctuality. We stayed in that hallway together, didn't we? Even though you were angry, even though you felt the world was conspiring against you, I was there, sitting in the silence of your halted plans. I saw the way you eventually found them, tucked away in that impossible crevice, only after the sirens on the main road had already faded into the distance. You felt a rush of relief, but you also felt a strange, lingering sense of peace that you couldn't quite explain. That peace was the shadow of my wings. I want you to look back on all the lost keys of your life, the missed flights, the jobs that went to someone else, the relationships that stalled before they could begin. You mourned them as losses, but I kept them from you as gifts. There is a choreography to your life that defies your understanding. You are dancing to a melody that is being played in a frequency higher than your ears can currently catch. When you feel the friction of a delay, I want you to lean into it. Instead of fighting the current, float. Trust that the river knows where the rocks are, even if you do not. I am the river, and I am the rock, and I am the water that carries you safely around the jagged edges. Let's talk about the way you try to control the wind. You wake up and you map out your day with the precision of a general, but I am the one who breathes the storm and the calm. I want to soften the edges of your striving. Look at the lilies, yes, but also look at the way the dust motes dance in the light in your living room when you are forced to be still. There is a whole world happening in the pauses of your life. There is a beauty that only reveals itself when the engine is off and the keys are missing. You have spent so much of your life running toward an imagined future, fearing that you will miss out on the best parts of being human if you aren't constantly in motion. But the best part of being human is being known by me. And I know you best in the quiet of the not yet. I know the way your soul sighs when you finally give up the struggle. I know the specific texture of your worry, and I want to replace it with the specific texture of my grace. Grace isn't a vague concept. It is as tangible as the cold metal of those keys when you finally pulled them from behind the radiator. It is as real as the car that didn't hit you and the tragedy that never reached your door. You are walking through a field of almosts and could-have-beens that I have cleared for you. Every time you stumble over a delay, consider it a kiss from heaven, a reminder that your life is not your own. It is held in a palm much larger and much more certain than yours. Do not be afraid of the gaps in your schedule. Do not fear the empty spaces in your plan. Those are the places where I do my deepest work. When you are looking for your keys, I am looking at your heart. I am asking, will you trust me even when you are late? Will you love me even when I say no? Because the no of a lost key is often the yes of a long and beautiful life. Rest in that tonight. Let the memory of that frantic morning be transformed from a moment of irritation into a monument of my protection. You were never alone in that hallway, and you are not alone now. The path ahead is not a race. It is a walk. And I am sets the pace. Breathe, just breathe. Think of the rhythm of your own heart, that steady, subconscious drumbeat that persists without a single command from your conscious mind. You do not tell it to beat, yet it serves you with a loyalty that transcends your understanding. In the same way, my love for you persists beneath the surface of your daily anxieties. When you were on your knees by that radiator, your fingers brushing against the dust and the forgotten pennies of seasons past, you felt small. You felt like a failure of organization, a victim of your own forgetfulness. But I was looking at the way the morning light caught the stray silver hairs near your temple, and I was counting the seconds as they ticked away on the kitchen wall. Each second that passed was a shield I was placing between you and a reality you were never meant to inhabit. I saw the intersection 2 miles away. I saw the driver who had stayed up too late, the one whose eyes were heavy and whose foot was heavy on the gas. I saw the precise moment when your paths would have crossed in a tangle of steel and glass. You were angry at the inanimate metal of your keys, but I was whispering to the very atoms of the universe to hold you there, just for 3 more minutes. Those 3 minutes were a gift wrapped in the guise of a nuisance. I want you to look back at the other nuisances of your life with this new lens. Remember the job you didn't get, the one that kept you up at night, questioning your worth. I was keeping you from a basement office where your spirit would have withered like a flower in a closet. Remember the person who walked away, the one whose absence felt like a physical wound in your chest. I was clearing space for a love that would not require you to shrink yourself to fit. You see the gaps, the missing pieces, and the delays as flaws in the tapestry. I see them as the very threads that hold the design together. Your life is a masterpiece of redirections. I am the architect of the detour, the designer of the long way home. Think of the garden you planted last spring, how you were so impatient for the first sprouts to break the soil. You kept poking at the earth, wondering if anything was happening beneath the dark surface. But the growth was happening in the silence, in the weight of the dirt, in the slow absorption of the rain. If the sprout had come too early, the frost would have claimed it. My timing is not a punishment for your lack of punctuality. It is a protection for your potential. I want you to find a seat now in this moment and feel the weight of your body against the chair. This is your reality, not the what-ifs that keep you pacing the floor at 3:00 a.m., and not the should-haves that haunt your morning coffee. You are here, and you are safe. Do you remember when you were a child and you got lost in that crowded department store? You remember the cold panic, the forest of adult legs, the terrifying anonymity of the world. But you also remember the moment you saw your father's hand reaching through the crowd. You didn't understand the logistics of how he found you. You only knew that the hand was there, and the world was right again. I have never let go of your hand, even when you were too busy looking for your keys to feel my grip. I am in the specific details of your mundane world. I am in the scent of the lavender soap you use to wash the day away. I am in the way you always fold the corner of the page in the books you love, marking the places where your soul felt seen. I am in the steam rising from your tea and the hum of the refrigerator in the quiet hours. Nothing is too small for my attention, because nothing that concerns you is insignificant to me. You worry that you are falling behind some invisible timeline, that your peers are miles ahead while you are stuck in the hallway looking for things you've lost. But there is no behind in my kingdom. There is only with me. And being with me means you are exactly where you need to be. I am teaching you a new language, the language of the sacred pause. It is a difficult tongue for your restless heart to learn. It requires you to believe that the world will not stop turning if you stop running. It requires you to trust that the provision for your future is already being prepared in the places you cannot see. When you feel that familiar rise of panic, the heat in your chest, the tightening of your throat, I want you to imagine those keys again. I want you to see them not as a symbol of your inadequacy, but as a golden key to a deeper peace. I am using the small irritations to build a great resilience in you. I am preparing you for a journey that requires a different kind of strength, not the strength of the sprinter, but the endurance of the soul that knows it is cherished. We are going to go deeper into this silence together. We are going to unwrap the layers of your fear until we find the core of your trust, which has been there all along, buried like those keys, waiting to be rediscovered. Do not rush this. The night is long and my grace is longer still. Let the silence be your companion, not your enemy. In the quiet, I am speaking. In the stillness, I am moving. In the delay, I am saving you. Every breath you take is a testament to my presence. You are being held in a love so vast that it can encompass both the stars in their courses and the keys behind your radiator. You are never, ever alone. Think back to that Tuesday morning when the sky was the color of bruised slate, and the rain began to hammer against the glass in a frantic, syncopated rhythm. You were pacing the hallway, your boots already on, your coat half-zipped, your mind already 3 miles down the road at the intersection of Oak and Main. You were rehearsing the apology for being late to the board meeting, your heart hammering against your ribs like a trapped bird. You tore the cushions off the sofa, you checked the freezer, you ran your hands along the dusty shelf behind the radiator for the third time, cursing the very air you breathed. You felt small, incompetent, and betrayed by your own memory. But I was watching you from the stillness. I saw the silver sedan 2 miles away, the one with the driver who hadn't slept in 24 hours, whose eyes were heavy, and whose foot was heavy on the gas. I saw the exact moment your paths would have crossed, the split second where steel would have met steel at 60 miles per hour. If you had found those keys when you wanted them, you would have been the target. I hid them. I tucked them into that narrow, dark crevice not as a punishment, but as a sovereign shield. I let you endure the small fire of your own frustration to quench a much larger fire that would have consumed your life. You see the delay as a failure of your character. I see it as the triumph of my mercy. I want you to look at the other lost keys of your life now. Let's go back to the letter that never arrived when you were 22, the one you thought would settle your career forever. Let's look at the phone call that went to voicemail, the job offer that was rescinded at the last moment, the person who walked away when you were certain they were your only home. In those moments, you felt abandoned, as if the universe had turned its back on your deepest desires. But I was there, standing in the doorway, blocking the path because the room you were so desperate to enter was already beginning to crumble from the inside. You are learning to trust the no as much as the yes. You are learning that my silence is not an absence, but a profound, active protection. Sit with me a little longer. Let the rhythm of your heart slow down to match the heartbeat of the earth. You think you are falling behind, but in my eyes, you are perfectly on time. We are untangling the knots of your need to know. We are replacing the frantic, jagged why with a quiet, rounded, even so. I am teaching you to look at your life not as a series of errors to be corrected, but as a masterpiece in progress, where even the empty spaces and the long, agonizing pauses are intentional strokes of the brush. Do you remember when you were a child, and you were so afraid of the dark that you would hold your breath until your chest ached? You are still holding your breath, my child. You are still waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the next disaster to strike, for the moment I finally stop caring. But I am the one who holds the shoes. I am the one who gentles the fall. Look at your hands in the dim light of this room. They are trembling because you are trying to hold onto a control that was never yours to begin with. Open them. Let go of the keys you think you need to find. Let go of the destination you think you must reach by nightfall. In this space, in this holy delay, there is nowhere to go and nothing to prove. There is only the warmth of the light and the certainty that you are cherished beyond your capacity to understand. We will talk about the road ahead soon enough, but for now, stay in the waiting room of my grace. It is here that the true healing happens, in the places where you are forced to be still. It is here that the heavy armor you've built around your heart, plate by plate, year by year, begins to soften and fall away. I know the names of the people who hurt you, whose voices still echo in your head telling you that you aren't enough. I know the shape of the grief you carry in your very marrow, the kind that makes your bones feel like lead. I'm not asking you to forget the pain, but I am asking you to let me carry the weight for a while. You have been a soldier for so long, fighting battles that weren't yours to win, defending territories that were never meant to be your home. Lay down your sword. The keys are safe. You are safe. The world is being held together by hands far more capable and far more loving than your own. Let us stay in this quiet space, where the only sound is the whisper of your soul returning to its source. I want to show you the beauty of the detour. I want to show you how the missed connection last month led to that 3-minute conversation with the stranger at the bus stop, the one who needed to hear a kind word more than you needed to be on time. I want to show you how the wasted hour gave your soul a chance to catch up with your body, which has been running on fumes for years. You are not a machine meant for constant, linear production. You are a garden meant for seasonal growth. And right now, it is winter. It is the time of roots growing deep and strong in the dark, hidden soil. Do not despise the darkness. Do not fear the stillness. It is the womb of everything that is to come. Every frustration you have felt this week, The traffic that stood still on the highway, the email that was misunderstood, the physical exhaustion that slowed your pace to a crawl. These were all my fingers gently pressing against your chest, saying, "Not yet. Wait here, trust me." You are becoming someone who can find peace in the middle of a storm, not because the storm has stopped, but because you finally know the navigator. We are going to peel back another layer now, deeper than the keys, deeper than the career. We are going to look at that one fear you keep locked in the basement of your heart, the one that says if you aren't moving, you don't exist. Can you feel my hand on yours? We are going to walk into that room together, and you will see that it is not a cliff, but a bridge back to the heart of what matters, a bridge back to me where you have always belonged. Look at this door we are standing before now, tucked away in the shadows of your inner hallway. It is heavy, isn't it? Made of thick oak and reinforced with the iron bands of every should have and must do you've ever uttered. You've kept this door locked because you were afraid that if you ever stopped moving, the silence behind it would swallow you whole. You've spent your life building a fortress of productivity, thinking that as long as the wheels were turning and the emails were flying, you were safe from the truth of your own fragility. But I am not here to judge the fortress. I am here to show you that the foundations were always built on my love, even when you thought they were built on your sweat. Can you hear the rhythm of your own heart? It doesn't beat because you tell it to. It beats because I am whispering life into your lungs with every passing second. Let us turn the key, not the ones you lost, but the one I have been holding for you since the day you were born. As we step into this room, notice how the air changes. It is not cold as you feared. It is warm, smelling of cedar and the rain-drenched earth after a long summer drought. This is the room of your being. You think back to that Tuesday morning, the morning of the lost keys. You remember the frantic search, the way you tossed the mail aside, the way you checked the pocket of your navy coat for the 5th time, your heart hammering against your ribs like a trapped bird. You felt so small then, so incompetent. You muttered to yourself about your fading memory and your lack of discipline. But while you were kneeling on the kitchen tile, weeping in frustration because you couldn't find a simple piece of metal, I was looking out the window for you. I saw the silver sedan 3 miles away, the one with the driver whose eyes were closed for just 4 seconds too long. I saw the intersection of 4th and Main where your paths were destined to cross at exactly 8:14 a.m. By hiding those keys in the fold of the armchair, beneath the book you meant to read last winter, I wasn't punishing you. I was swaddling you in a delay that saved your life. You see lost time, but I see given years. You see a failure of organization, but I see the success of protection. Can you breathe into that for a moment? Let the tension in your shoulders dissolve. You are not a clock to be wounded. You are a soul to be held. Look around this room now. See the jars on the shelves. They are filled with the moments you thought were wasted. There is the hour you spent watching the birds at the feeder when you should have been cleaning the garage. There is the afternoon you fell asleep on the porch, the sun warming your face, while your to-do list mocked you from the kitchen table. In your eyes, these were gaps in your usefulness. In my eyes, these were the moments you were most beautiful, because you were simply existing in the world I made for you. You are so afraid of being nothing, yet nothing is where I do my best work. It was out of nothing that I spoke the stars into alignment. It was out of the void that I carved the canyons and filled the oceans. When you are nothing, without your titles, without your bank account, without your busy schedule, you are finally large enough to contain my everything. Do you remember the blue mug you broke last week? The one with the chipped handle that belonged to your grandmother. You cried over it because it felt like one more thing falling apart. But look at the shelf in this room. There it is, mended not with glue, but with gold. In the pauses I force upon you, I am mending the broken pieces of your spirit with a grace that makes you stronger at the broken places. We are walking toward the window of this room now. Outside, the bridge spans the distance between the person you think you have to be and the person I created you to be. The bridge is made of light and patience. It doesn't require you to run. It only asks you to walk, one step at a time, with my hand in yours. You feel that ache in your chest. That isn't sorrow. That is your soul expanding to fit the space I've cleared for you. You've been living in a tiny apartment of doing, and I am moving you into a mansion of becoming. The world will tell you that the winter of your life is a sign of death, but I tell you it is the season of deep preparation. The roots of the willow tree don't grow when the leaves are green and the wind is warm. They grow when the frost bites the earth and the branches are bare. This wasted month, this season of exhaustion where you feel you have nothing left to give, this is your root growth. I am making you unshakable. I am making you someone who doesn't need the applause of the crowd to know they are worthy. I am making you mine, over and over again, until you finally believe it. Look at the bridge again. It doesn't lead back to the highway or the office or the frantic pace of your old life. It leads to a garden where the fruit grows in its own time. You've been trying to force the harvest in the middle of a drought. Let me be the rain. Let me be the soil. Let me be the gardener who knows exactly when to prune and when to let you grow wild. Can you feel the weight of your fear beginning to lift? It's okay to be tired. It's okay to not have the answers. I am the answer, and I am not a destination you reach by working harder. I am the ground you are standing on right now. Don't look at the clock, it has no power here. Don't look at the calendar, it is just a map of shadows. Look at me. Look at the way I have paved this bridge with every accident and delay that ever broke your heart. They weren't obstacles, they were the stones of the path. We are halfway across now. The water below is deep and still, reflecting the stars I've named after you. Yes, I have named stars after the parts of you that you think are unremarkable. I have a constellation for your kindness to the stranger, and a galaxy for the way you keep trying even when you are afraid. You are so much more than your output. You are my poetry, and we are just beginning the next stanza. Remember the frantic beating of your heart just yesterday morning. The way you tore through the cushions of the sofa, the way you checked the pocket of your coat for the 5th time, your breath coming in short, jagged bursts of frustration. You were late. The world demands punctuality, and you felt the weight of its judgment pressing against your temples. You cursed the silence of the house, the inanimate objects that seemed to be hiding from you, and that heavy, sinking feeling in your stomach that whispered you were failing yet again. But I was there, sitting in that very silence. I was the one who gently nudged the keys beneath the newspaper, not to punish you, but to protect the life I am still weaving. You didn't see the intersection 3 miles away. You didn't see the truck whose brakes would fail, or the driver who was looking at a screen instead of the road. If you had found those keys when you wanted them, you would have arrived at that precise coordinate of metal and glass at the exact second of impact. I traded your punctuality for your pulse. I traded your reputation for your breath. Do you see now? Your delays are my deliveries. Your inconveniences are my interventions. Every time you feel the world is conspiring against your schedule, remember that I am conspiring for your soul. We are walking slower now, aren't we? The rhythm of your stride is beginning to match mine. Look down at your hands. They are shaking less. For so long, you have used those hands to claw at the dirt, trying to build walls to keep the fear out. You've built high, jagged towers of doing and achieving, thinking that if you just reached a certain height, the wind of anxiety wouldn't touch you. But the wind is mine, too. I blew those towers down because I want you to live in the open air of my grace. I want you to know the safety of the valley, not just the temporary thrill of the peak. Notice the way the air smells on this bridge. It's like rain on sun-warmed stone, a scent of renewal that doesn't ask for your permission to exist. You've spent so many years asking for permission to be happy, to be still, to simply exist without producing something. You think your value is tied to the harvest, but I tell you, I love the field even when it is fallow. I love the soil when it is sleeping under the snow just as much as when it is bursting with gold. Think of the kitchen table where you sat this morning, staring into the steam of your coffee. You felt a moment of profound loneliness, a sense that the world was moving on without you while you stayed stuck in the amber of your own thoughts. But I was the warmth of that mug against your palms. I was the light catching the dust motes dancing in the air, each one a tiny world I sustain. You are never stuck when you are with me. You are simply being held in place so I can perform the surgery that requires your stillness. There are splinters of should and must embedded deep in your heart, and I am gently, one by one, drawing them out. It hurts, I know. It feels like losing a part of yourself. But those were never parts of you. They were parasites you picked up along the way, convinced they were necessary for your survival. You don't need the armor anymore. The war you've been fighting, the one where you are your own harshest general, is over. I have signed the peace treaty with my own hand. As we move closer to the other side, the fog is thinning. Can you see the colors of the garden now? They aren't the primary neon colors of the world's distractions. They are deep indigos, soft moss greens, and the silver of moonlight on water. These are the colors of the interior life. I am teaching you to see in the dark, not because the dark is something to be feared, but because it is the womb of everything new. You've always been afraid of the night, equating it with the end of things. But in my kingdom, the day begins at sunset. Your rest is the foundation of your work, not the reward for it. I am reordering your very biology, shifting your internal clock from the frantic ticking of the factory to the slow, steady heartbeat of the earth. You mentioned your keys, the loss that felt like a catastrophe in the moment. But think of what else you've lost recently. The friendship that faded into silence. The opportunity that closed its door just as you reached for the handle. The dream that didn't wake up when the sun rose. You mourned them as deaths, but I processed them as pruning. You cannot carry the dead weight of the past into the garden we are entering. It would wither the new growth before it even had a chance to bloom. I am stripping you down to the essential, to the core of who you were before the world told you who you were supposed to be. Do you remember that child? The one who could spend an hour watching an ant carry a crumb, or who felt the magic in the cold press of a window pane against their forehead. I am bringing that child back to you. I am restoring the years the locusts have eaten, not by giving you back the things you lost, but by giving you back the capacity to wonder. We are stepping off the wooden planks now, and the ground beneath us is turning to soft, cool grass. Feel it between your toes. This is the land of enough. You have spent your life in the land of more, and it has left you starving. Here, the water is always clear and the bread is always warm. You don't have to earn your place at this table. You were born with a reservation. Don't look back at the highway. The noise of the engines and the smell of exhaust are fading. The voices of those who told you that you were falling behind are becoming nothing more than a faint hum, like insects in the distance. They are not your masters. I am your father, your mother, your friend, and your future. Every no I have ever given you was a hidden yes to this moment, to this walk, to this intimacy. I am not a god of the distant heavens. I am the god of your lost keys and your broken heart. I am the god of the 5 minutes you spent crying in the shower because you didn't think you could do it anymore. I heard you. I held you then, and I am holding you now. We are walking into the deep shade of the ancient trees now, where the secrets of the ages are whispered in the rustle of the leaves. Stay close. There is so much more. I want to show you about the beauty of your own soul. Do you remember that Tuesday? The morning that felt like a fraying rope, snapping strand by strand. You were looking for your keys, your breath coming in shallow, jagged bursts against the cold air of the hallway. You threw your bag on the sofa, you checked the pockets of every coat you owned, and you felt that familiar, rising heat of panic, the fear that the world would leave you behind if you were even 5 minutes late. I watched you. I heard the whispered pleas that was half prayer and half sob. I was the one who tucked those keys beneath the cushion of the chair you rarely sit in. I hid them, not to frustrate you, but to save you. You saw a missed meeting. I saw a silver SUV at the intersection of 4th and Main. I saw the driver who had fallen asleep at the wheel, his foot heavy on the gas, his truck a 3-ton projectile aimed at the very space you would have occupied if you had found those keys on time. While you were cursing the delay, I was holding back the hand of tragedy. I let you feel the sting of being late so that you wouldn't have to feel the silence of being gone. This is the unseen mercy that follows you all the days of your life. Every no you have ever received was a wall I built to keep the wolves out. Every closed door was a shield. As we walk further into the deep shade of these ancient trees, I want you to look at the architecture of your spirit. Notice the way the light filters through the canopy of your experiences. See those bright, shimmering spots. Those are the moments you chose kindness when you were hurting. Those deep, cool shadows. Those are the places where I have hidden my most precious secrets for you to find when the world becomes too loud. You have been so afraid of your own depths, thinking you would find only darkness there. But I am showing you that the darkness is just the soil where the most beautiful things take root. Reach out and touch the bark of this tree. Feels like the texture of your own history, rough in places, scarred by storms, but solid and enduring. You are not a fragile thing, though you feel like glass sometimes. You are ancient timber, seasoned by grace. Do you hear that? The sound of the stream nearby. That is the river of your own peace which has been flowing underneath the noise of your life all along. You thought you had to build it, but it was already there, waiting for you to stop running. Let's sit by the water for a moment. Look at your reflection. You see the lines of worry, the eyes that haven't slept enough, the weight of expectations. But I see the child who used to talk to ladybugs. I see the dreamer who still believes in the quietest part of their heart that there is magic left in the world. I am restoring that child today. I am taking the lost things, the keys, the time, the opportunities you think passed you by, and I am showing you that nothing is ever truly lost in my economy. It is only repurposed. The time you lost looking for those keys was time I spent weaving a different future for you. The path you thought was closed was actually a wall built to keep the wolves out. Trust the delay, trust the no, trust the silence. As we sit here, feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. This is my smile. It doesn't depend on your productivity. It doesn't waver when you fail. It is a constant, like the pull of the moon on the tides. You have spent so long trying to earn the right to exist, but here, in the land of enough, your existence is the prize. You are the destination I have been traveling toward since the beginning of time. I didn't create the stars just to have something to look at. I created them so you would know the scale of my thoughts toward you. There is a room in your soul we haven't visited yet, a room filled with the music you never dared to play, the words you never dared to speak. It is the room of your true yes. Let's walk toward it now. The ground is soft and there are no thorns here, only the scent of wild jasmine and the feeling of coming home. You've spent so many years running from the shadows, not realizing that the shadow only exists because there is a great light behind you. Every time you felt small, every time you felt like an imposter in your own life, I was there, whispering the truth into the marrow of your bones. You are not a mistake. You are not a collection of failures bound together by regret. You are a deliberate act of creation. And those keys, those tiny, jagged pieces of metal that caused you such distress, they were my humble servants that day. They did exactly what I told them to do. They stayed hidden so that you could stay whole. The driver of that silver SUV, he was a father too, exhausted from his third shift, distracted by a flickering dashboard light. At the moment your keys were missing, he was crossing the white line. If you had been there, the world would have changed in a heartbeat. But I held the keys. I held you. I held him. This is the intricate dance of my sovereignty where even your frustration is a tool for preservation. Can you forgive the world for being inconvenient? Can you forgive yourself for not being in control? Control is a heavy cloak, my child. It chafes the neck and weighs down the heart. Take it off. Hang it on a branch and leave it for the wind to carry away. Here, you don't need to know where we are going. You only need to know who you are walking with. Look up at the leaves above us. They are turning from green to a deep, resonant gold, reflecting the light of a sun that never sets. This is the color of wisdom, the kind that only comes from trusting the pauses. You think you are falling behind, but in my eyes, you are exactly where you need to be. You are currently standing at the very center of my will, even when you are lost in the hallway of your own home. Let the peace of this place seep into your skin like honey. Let it fill the hollow spaces left by the things you think you've lost. I am the God of the recovery, the God of the second chance, and the God of the beautiful delay. We are approaching the edge of a meadow now, where the grass is waist-high and glows with an inner light. This is where your dreams go to wait for you. They haven't died. They've just been resting, growing stronger while you were learning how to carry them. The flowers here do not bloom for an audience. They bloom because it is their nature to be beautiful. You too have a beauty that does not require an audience to be real. You have spent so much energy trying to be seen. But I have never looked away from you, not for a single second. I saw you when you were 3, fascinated by the way water swirled down the drain. I saw you when you were 16, heartbroken and certain that the world had ended. I saw you this morning and I see you now. Every version of you is present in this walk. We are bringing them all home. Come. There is so much more. I want to tell you about the dawn,